Hey, welcome to ONV Respect the Game podcast. How are you doing out there? We're here talking about life after sports. We're going to go around real quick and introduce our panel real quick.
Okay, I'm gonna start with me. I'm here all the time. Y'all know me. I'm C Stats. Glad to be here, and this is gonna be a good conversation.
I'm Shalante Clements. Also glad to be here. Can't wait to enjoy this conversation as well.
Hi there, this is Mark Muhammad, and I'm also glad to be here.
And I'm Coach Air, so we're going to get started right away. We're going to start talking in depth about life after sports. We was talking before we came on air as far as the negative and the positive of life after sports. And so we're going to get right into it real quick with Mr. Stats. Can you get us started with
And we were talking, and I was glad before we came on air. We were talking about more of the positives, but you see some of the negatives, and you can't overlook some of the negatives. So we're gonna get those out the way real quick.
A bunch of those.
and one of the things is, especially when you elevate to a certain level, and you get to that professional realm, and a lot of the young people that comes out of this, come into the professional realm, have no professional experience, no professional expertise, but they're gifted a whole lot of money, a whole lot of opportunities. And many a times those opportunities are, fast as they come, fast as they go. But there are some that have found ways of bettering themselves even after sports, and that's financially. Now, we can look at cases like Antoine Walker. We can look at Delonte West, Steve Francis, and Vin Baker. All of those right now are having hardships where they made hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
But if we talk about like Jamal Mashburn took his career to another level, and he began to invest in restaurants. He owned over 90 restaurants and other businesses. So he took his money. We all know Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal has become a personality more than he has been a basketball player. I was talking to Mr. Ayers before we came on air. Bob Bean. Y'all know who that is?
No.
You don't know who Bob Bean is? He was the mayor of Detroit. He was actually a mayor of Detroit. He played for the Pistons. He actually became the mayor.
Bob Bean?
Yeah.
Dave Bean?
Is it Dave Bean?
Yeah,
Am I
it
saying
might
the
be.
wrong name?
Dave Bean.
It's
Dave
Dave
Bean.
Bean.
I'm
Yeah, I know
sorry.
Dave Bean.
Okay, I said the wrong name. It's Dave.
Okay.
Dave Bean. He was the mayor of Detroit. And then there was Vinnie Johnson.
Okay.
Vinnie Johnson, he got some multi-million-dollar automotive manufacturing company in Detroit. They all found these investments, and that's something I think the NFL now is teaching more. The NBA is trying to teach more, is how they can be more financially responsible for life after sports. Because I heard that the NFL, after you retire for at least 10 years, your insurance begin to stop,
Yes.
and things like that.
Sounds scary.
And yeah, something scary where, you have these health issues and things like that. So I think the stories of success and people finding out how to make themselves more financial independent after they make that money, that they don't lose that money.
Right.
Mike Tyson was a case that he reinvented himself. Mike
Yeah.
Tyson lost hundreds of millions of dollars, but he reinvented himself. So I think we should focus on those that have made success.
Yeah,
And
part
go ahead.
of it is I think that they think that they're gonna live off this fame and this hype forever, and it's hard to just transition into something that you used to having every day. So if I'm already getting it and I got the fan base and everybody else supporting me, it's easy to stay relevant. Definitely with social media and stuff now.
So
That's
when we
true.
talk about life after sports, there's some things that happen during the sports part of it. Like you get taught how to be disciplined. You get taught how to be coachable,
Right.
and do everything everyday
It
life
teaches you structure pretty much.
and everything.
And that's pretty much what I took from playing sports. I took the structure of getting up on time. I learned, just little stuff to take from it where it helped me in everyday life. And now, I'm able to do, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I was a kid that kind of followed direction, but there's kids like that out there, and there's kids that they have it all together and they want to do what they want to do, but it's about what path you choose as a person to take out of what is given to you.
I'm going to agree with that structure. Now, I was an athlete, but I wasn't a super athlete, so I knew that wasn't going to be my path out of life. You know, I was more of a student. I'm gonna be honest, but I did run track, and I thought I was going to run track in college. I promise y'all this. Until they knocked on my door at 4:30 in the morning,
Oh, you was
talking about going to practice. No, I ain't that discipline yet. That structure, but it does. You have to dedicate that, and you know, it does put you on a time schedule. It gives you, you know, the relevance of, you know, keeping time and
that
staying
was
on the
the
schedule.
Right.
different athlete you was. You didn't really love the game. You was doing it because you thought it was something fun to do.
Yes.
Right.
So 8 o'clock or 4 a.m. in the morning scared you when it would have motivated somebody like me. You know, I was like, okay, this is what I got to do to be down part of this.
Nah, that wasn't for me.
Right.
So a lot of times, like even today with our youth, who we're trying to train and trying to teach that there's going to be life after sports, and you have to prepare yourself now to prepare for the end.
So question, what are, you're a coach, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the things like you're instilling in your athletes to help prepare them for the future? Like,
Well, the most important thing is to respect themselves
Okay.
and to respect what they're doing, and to be disciplined, being on time,
Okay.
being a teammate. You know, it's not an individual sport. You know, you gotta learn these things to work on, and that's the hardest. Them are some hard.
and so some kids are younger and they probably can't grasp hold of why are these things important. Like, are you relaying that to everyday life stuff, like the reason why they need to be on time for things in life, or is it just about basketball? So when I'm done with basketball, I don't need to be on time anymore. It was just for basketball. Because we got kids that think like that sometimes, in the sports. And so I try to look at ways to coach my kids and relate it to real life. Like, I'll do activities occasionally or something like that where it'll be, oh, since we didn't communicate, this is our suffering. And then I'll tell them why or whatever the case is. So is that something that you kind of relay back to the kids?
That is a big part of what we try to relate, because it is not just about basketball or football or whatever. It's about everyday life, and you have to be committed to, doing everything in life and not just the one thing.
Okay.
So I hope that makes sense as far as like continue to work on your bad habits
Okay.
to make you a better person.
Right.
Because the one thing, that I try to install in them is they need to love themselves and love their brother, because it's not just about you, and the negativity we have to stay away from.
I like that.
In our recent trip to Tampa, some of the high schoolers that attended down in Tampa, and a couple of them are high-profile athletes, 4- and 5-star All-Americans. So I ain't gonna name drop, but they was at a venue where their behavior was really shameful. They good kids,
Right.
They good kids, and one of them made a comment. Well, these people who don't know who I am, but if the police is called,
They're gonna know who you are.
they're gonna know who you are. And if you're a 4- or 5-star All-American,
Right.
Depending on what you did, the nation gonna know what
Right.
you done.
Right.
So we are trying to teach them, like you said, love yourself. Part of loving yourself is knowing who you are, your responsibility to yourself, your community, your friends, the vehicle who got you where you at, whether it may be the basketball program, the track program, football program, or whatever. You got to give back. And another thing that I teach, because I'm a business manager for some athletes, one of the things I teach them, just like you got a game plan for a game, you got a life plan for your life.
Right.
And no matter, let's say if I want to live to be 100, so I got to break my life up in 4 quarters.
Right.
And in my first 25 years, this is what I want to do. My second 25 years, this is where I want to be at, and this is what I need. We don't game plan,
Right.
or life
That's so
plan.
true. That's so
Right.
true.
We just live day by day.
Right.
So when you say life after sports, sometimes life after sports suck because they didn't game plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Before, you got a game plan going into it, not when it's over.
I like that you taking that initiative to get them ready for
Yeah.
a plan
yeah,
at
yeah,
least.
yeah.
At least have them thinking about it, definitely.
And some of it, a lot of it is based off of what I didn't do
Right.
or what I didn't see others do.
Learn from your own
Right.
mistakes.
Because my life after sports was a hard start because I was disappointed in myself for not completing what I started.
Right.
And it taught me to, when I come back, to teach our younger people to complete.
Right.
You know, you have to complete your tasks at hand, whether
Right.
it be at home, whether it be in school or on the field. It doesn't matter. You just have to complete it.
Right. When you both said that, my question is we're looking at the higher levels, but let's look at even a high school athlete, because once you graduate, a lot of athletes, that's the last sport that they're going to play or
Right.
they're going to do. But they had visions of grandeur or dreams of grandeur. How do you tell them that there's something else out there, especially when they dedicated so much time and effort, because you like these AAU teams, these travel teams, they're all invested in all of this, but once they're done, it's over. So how do you encourage somebody? When do you start to instill in somebody to look beyond this?
Go ahead.
Now, is that a question for like the coaches? Because I think
I
that's
mean,
going
that's
to
in
come from
general.
the parents and
Well,
the
coaches
people
too.
who they surrounded by. Like, they're not going to just be able to pick themselves up because they didn't make the team and be like, they need people to talk to. That's where
I'm going to agree with you on that. But even as a coach, because as I said, I was out there thinking I'm going to be something, knowing in my head I'm really not. But there's some that's out there that think they're quality, but
Right,
they don't
right,
make that
right,
cut.
right.
And the first person they're going to go to is, Coach, why didn't I make it? What did I do or what didn't I do?
Well, if you don't be realistic with them, if you don't tell the truth as you go, then you're giving them false hope. So if you're being honest with yourself and with them, you're letting them know, as far as your work ethic is not going to get you nowhere. It's not going to get you where you think you're going. So there's small opportunities, because like Ms. Shalate saying, we don't have them 24/7. We have them in a window,
Right.
a
Right.
2-hour window, 3-hour window, whatever. So when we give them that opportunity, to understand what we're trying to teach them, we always tell them, now take that home and utilize it at home. It don't stop because you leaving our vendor.
Right.
That makes sense?
Right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of the high schoolers, they're going to learn through trial and error.
Yeah.
When you said, when do you teach them? Sometimes you can't teach them until
they hit their head a few times.
they hit their head a few times, until they're willing to be taught. That's how I was.
Yeah.
Okay.
You couldn't teach me until I found out my way didn't work.
Is there a
Right.
way to speed that process up, though? Or is it just the time?
Everybody's different. Everybody's different, and I think what's important too is when we talk about coaching and we're teaching them life lessons. I think every parent should be mindful who they put their child in front of, or who
That's the
who
truth
they're
right there.
around,
Right.
because everybody doesn't have the same values.
Right.
you
And
know?
we see it all the time.
yeah.
And a lot of times the parent, the coaches, they just looking for a win.
Right,
And it doesn't matter how they get it,
right.
and they
Kid could
will,
be flunking out. It could be a
Could,
AAU
could be
team.
flunking out.
and
right.
don't even care.
You here to play, not
yeah,
that.
yeah. So, and when we try to install that, they run from it,
Yeah.
so,
You're not giving them what they want.
and that's what you was asking earlier.
Yes.
What we try to give, there's a lot of times people don't want to hear it and want to believe that that's not my child, or that's not my athlete. He's going to be better than that.
Right.
And to the end, and then now they want to come back and say why you didn't do this for me, or why you didn't tell me this or tell me that. And a lot of times they just don't want to listen to the I won't say it's negative, but it's the truth as far as what they need to hear.
Right.
And they don't want to hear it.
And then we're living in some funny times as far as when we came through school, or as we raised, we was taught to earn everything we get. And guess what? Everybody don't make it to the podium.
Right.
You know, everybody don't get that trophy.
Right.
But now everybody gets a trophy for participation.
Oh yeah, that's what they're doing to the
Setup.
kids.
I really think that's a setup for life, because I think we need to teach our kids, even, understanding that failure is a part of life.
Right.
Because once you
That's growth. Failure is growth.
yeah, because once you realize that you haven't done it, you can regroup. But
Right.
when you pacify, and that's why we say life after sports, because in real life, if I'm done in high school, of course I'm gonna get a paycheck. But when things don't go right, they're not gonna pat me on the back for just doing my job.
Right,
Other than the paycheck.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They stopped. Well, somewhere down the line, we stopped teaching the generation beneath us
Failure.
about failure and how failure can be a tool, like you said, for growth.
Yeah.
That's how I use my failure. Right. You know, and we stopped teaching accountability and responsibility.
Yeah.
And like you said, everybody want to pat their child on the back.
You did so good today.
And you didn't grind for nothing.
Right.
It was just
Yeah.
given to you.
Yeah. Now we used to that. That's
Yeah,
why you got a lot of
yeah,
kids,
yeah.
and nowadays quitting a lot of jobs.
Right,
and They don't even
right,
stay on
right,
the week. Ah,
right.
that's too much for me.
Right.
They
Right.
used to
Right.
getting everything they want.
Well, when you look at high school sports today, there's so many kids out there getting hurt because they're not
Putting time.
putting the time in, and they're gifted, and they're letting them get away with things that they're not supposed to let them get away to be successful. And then they get the big head, and then they're bigger than the sport, they're bigger than the school, and nobody's
Y'all
giving
need
them
me.
accountability. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Ah,
Yeah, I got a funny story, and I'm not gonna name drop, and I hope nobody knows who I'm talking about. But anyway, as a freshman, I ran varsity, and I was going against a junior at another school who ran varsity. But this junior was an All-American, right? I was a wannabe All-American. You know what I'm saying? I was the All-American to me.
Yeah.
right.
So once we ran, and I ain't gonna even tell you what race it is, 'cause y'all guess. But anyway, he come flying past me, and when he came flying past me, he took all my energy with him. So I'm struggling to finish at the line. So years later, and me and him was always friends. Years later, I talked to him, and I told him the story, and he was laughing. And I just asked him. I said, "So, what kind of workout did you do?" So the kind of workout he told me he did, right, was the kind of workout Leon Tubbs used to do.
Right.
And years later, I knew it was too late. Then years later, I said I wasn't ready for this because I didn't work out like that. But the flip side of that is this guy should have went further than what he went. But academically,
He wasn't there.
he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
okay.
So he worked on he had it down on the athletic part.
Right.
But that life after sports, which is
What's
rooted in academics.
Academics, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
What did you
we
learn?
talked about that earlier also,
Yes, yes.
right? Even myself, I was a good athlete in high school. I was a good athlete. I wasn't a student athlete.
Right.
Yeah,
I got you.
right.
I got away with things that
He
you
was a
shouldn't be
student
getting
athlete.
away with.
And we were talking about that earlier. Like there is life after sports and education. And what I like it about it is, I think a couple of years ago, Vince Carter, before he retired, he had actually a playoff game He was supposed to be in, but he went to his graduation at
Yeah.
UNC, and they didn't think they was going to get him back for that playoff game. And they was like, "Well, you can't go." He was like, "You can do anything else, but I'm going to this graduation."
Wow.
What happened to? And I know it's been like this for a long time, but why is it more important that we're teaching athletes instead of not teaching students to be athletes?
It's about the money.
It's
Yeah,
about
it's
the
about
money.
the money.
Definitely.
Yeah.
College has changed, and you got all these people getting paid now. That's the new level of like professional athletes almost.
They're training them to be an athlete, not
Yeah.
a student athlete.
Correct.
But again, with all those sacrifices and not being well rounded, what is your life going to be thereafter?
This is a story. So the kid from Alabama who got caught with all that weed or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, he just was reinstated a couple days ago to the team.
Is that the one in Florida?
That's the one
Okay,
in Florida. Now, I know him, so I'm not talking down on him, but I'm just saying if it was me or you, we'll be in the penitentiary or be headed there.
Right.
So Saban said, which I understand, he said, well, he's saving his life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he just let him go, you see what I'm saying? But in the bigger scheme of things,
Yeah.
what are we teaching
The ones coming behind him.
the ones coming behind?
Yes.
Well,
That
it's
we just
teaching them to be an athlete,
Right.
and be the best one
Tap
out
on
there.
the wrist, so we don't let this go this time. I'm gonna get a second chance like him.
Right,
He got the best NIL deal I ever heard.
right. And the whole thing about what you're talking about is our younger people are listening and seeing this
And
stuff.
seeing that.
Yeah.
So only thing they're worried about is getting that NIL deal,
Mm-hmm.
getting that D1 scholarship
Yeah.
to where they're going to go and be seen 1 or 2 years, and then they're gone to the next level.
If they make it to the next
I'm
level.
just saying, yeah.
And if they haven't learned the right things, once sports is over, it's over.
Right,
Yeah.
And I
So
think
what you
that-
doing now?
right.
That's
know-
when they're trying to scramble to figure it all out.
Right.
And I don't know if y'all, and this is what I say, Life After Sports, and it just popped in my head. I don't know if y'all remember the movie The Program. It had
Yep.
Mike Epps in it. No, Omar Epps in it. Had Omar Epps in it, and there was this guy, and he's been a character actor anyway, but he was a defensive lineman, and he tore
Brian
his knee.
Bosworth. Was it Brian Bosworth?
No, it was a
What?
black guy. It was a black guy, but he tore up his
Yeah,
knee.
yeah.
And the scholarship, everybody forgot he was the man on campus, but he was back in his little hick hometown, and nobody remembered him. And he had nothing else to offer. And I think we're setting up a lot of kids. But I understand that coaching is a hard job because, like you say, you only have a slight window.
Yeah.
But I think the parents need to be more active. I think the parents and the coaches should be working together.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
What like Mr. Eric said,
What is he doing at home? You can ask, these questions. Or
yeah.
Right.
Or I told him to do this at home. Make sure he followed through,
Right.
and that sets a standard.
Yeah.
Well, I believe it started at a young age.
way younger age.
You have to do the discipline early.
It's like
but
training
but
a
once
dog.
but once again, you keep saying, go to a coach. But when you go to them coaches who just want to win and not give the whole package, that's what helps.
That's a
what
problem.
hurts the whole coaching thing, man.
I see that.
And we see it all the time. That, and when you try to talk to the parents, like you need to be careful who you have your child around, and
They shoo you off sometimes.
well, they always do that because they don't want to hear that. They want what's best for their child at that particular time, and that's a win.
Right.
Definitely
That's to
the
be on
young-
the basketball court.
The younger kids. Is it about playtime and stuff like that with the younger kids?
Well, it's a better teaching time
Okay.
with the younger kids. That's why it's important to start them get them at a young age,
Okay.
and then you could groom them when they get to the high school level.
Okay.
But it's really hard when you
Start.
get a high school kid and he's already got his
He
thinking.
pampered.
He already got his thinking pattern. They already told him what he's going to be
Right.
about, and you can't tell them anything.
And the worst thing that come along with that, while them being that way, if they experience success,
Yes.
this been working for me.
yeah. What you talking about?
Yeah, but my question is, in overall, parents, coaches, educators, do you tell them the life of an athlete? NFL, after 27, you're an old man.
Mm-hmm.
After 30 in the NBA, you're an old man. And a lot of contracts don't come there. I don't care how. Let's look at Ezekiel Elliott. He can't find a team to save his life.
Cam Newton.
Hop,
They can't
the
find
one in
a team.
Carolina, not
Hopkins.
Carolina, Arizona, D Hop.
yeah.
He just got cut. So I mean, you
But
got to
they made
understand.
their money too, though. Yo.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
That's true.
They
But
done made their money.
what I'm saying is, what if you just that mid tier athlete? If they're getting rid of the major athletes,
Oh, yeah.
what if you're just that mid tier?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we as a people, coaches, parents, whatever, be explaining that you have to be well rounded? I don't see the well rounded athletes anymore.
What we do, we promote and shed light on the athleticism when we should take those athletes who have made it, male and female, and start shedding light on, their business
Yes.
skills and what they achieved off the court and everything. And
And
I think it's more of that now than it's ever been.
Oh yeah,
really.
definitely.
Yeah.
That's not been talked about.
It used to
That's
be
not been talked about.
on to the next athlete.
Right.
But
right.
now I see a lot
Right.
more.
They
I
do-
think it's the social media though. At the same time,
Yeah.
the ability we have to display ourselves and put ourselves out there more.
They do a lot of more negative promoting us than the positive because they don't want that to get out. So I think it's our responsibility
To share,
Share
us,
that.
as our
yes.
community
to share
is
us.
to share things like that.
You know, when we was in Tampa and they had, after one training, they had a financial literacy meeting.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Mm.
And this is the God's honest truth. The black kids just went along because they was told to go along,
Yes.
or they was told not to
Miss
go.
it, yeah.
Right? There was one white guy there, Jaden.
Yeah.
He goes to Toledo. He is ambitious enough. He said that meeting can't hurt me.
Right.
I want to know what they talking about.
Right. Right.
And I was impressed with that. I said because his mindset
Different.
was he wanted to learn. He knew it wouldn't hurt him. So
He up front.
yeah.
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 He's soaking it all in.
Yeah.
We did an interview with him, and he told us his journey, where he started at, where he had to sleep at, what all the things he had to do. So he's preparing himself
For
life after
That's
sports.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And throughout the whole week, this young man was on top of everything.
On top of everything.
on
And that,
everything.
that's just what it is. Like some kids get it and some kids don't. Like you said, like he probably got that instilled in him early. Like I need to do this, or maybe he bumped his head early.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it could
right.
have been that.
He's seen it. He's seen the light,
Okay.
and the determination is his goal. Is his drive. It's helping him with his
Yeah,
drive.
you can tell
You
it's
can
just
tell, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I do find it disturbing. And how do we get our young people to get to that mindset without bumping their heads first?
Right.
Because the opportunity is there. How do we get our young athletes and students to be able to seize those opportunities while they're in front of them?
The role models. Show them the role models. That's part of it.
We just got to keep doing what we do
Yes.
and keep our heads on the swivel and keep us doing, making sure that they understand there's different pillars in their life that they got to learn and and do and accomplish. So it's not like we sitting with our hands on
Yes.
Yeah.
and we just got to work harder and continue to work hard because you're battling not just the kid, you're battling the community, you're battling the
Systems.
parents, the system,
yeah.
Yeah.
the high school coaches,
Yeah.
because they just want them for themselves.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
man, I love this conversation.
Yeah, it's been
Yes,
enlightening. It's been enlightening.
This was a eye opener.
Yes.
I love what we brought to the table. We want to thank you for coming into this vendor and listening to what we had to say tonight. I hope you get something out of this, Amen. God bless you. Have a good day.
Respect the game on three. 1, 2, 3, respect the game.